for the fofo. This for the fofo. For the city and the back roads. Got a whole county full of them goats. All from the fofo and that goat. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah. So let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva. Them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the fofo chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really doubt it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda got flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the fofo. This for the fofo. This for the fofo.
Oh, let's get that fixed. That's becoming an every week deal. All right, everybody, welcome back as we get started for our Week 1 recap here at the beautiful Crow's Nest. It's time for the 440 Sports Show. We've got an excellent show tonight with an excellent player that's going to join us here in just a moment. But how about this as we started Week 1 with a bang? Some teams going out there, getting some nail biters, some teams going out there and really getting the job done very, very early in that game. It was a great week of football. I'll tell you what it did is it reignited my love. Not that I needed any more excitement for this football season, but I'm telling you, here in the 440, we're going to play some really, really good football. Our Week 1 player of the week is part of one of the most talented running back fields in all of Ohio. He went out there and got it done, and I'm sure we're probably going to have the other half of that duo on here sooner than later. But for tonight, Our Week 1 player of the week, as if there was any doubt, it is the man, the myth, the legend. It's Luke Giddings who's going to make his debut on the show tonight, and we'll bring him on as we pull up his stats from the game. 13 carries, 133 yards, 3 touchdowns, a punt block, a forced fumble, a partridge in a pear tree. He probably could have kicked the field goal if they would have let him. What was it like going out there as you go out there and have a huge Week 1 there, Luke?
It was pretty good. It was nice to get back on the football field.
So you guys get to do it at home? In that beautiful field, a brand new turf. It's still got that new turf smell. You only got 1 year of play out of it last year, but you guys go out there and you set the tone early against a talented Brooklyn squad, but the Grand Valley guys came out to play. What were some of the things that you felt working pretty early in that game?
Well, obviously running the ball. we ran pretty good the whole game and kind of just kept going with it and passed a little bit here, but for the most part just ran, and all the hard work in the off season paid off, and it came that Week 1.
So you guys went out there and you ran the ball very well, but it can't be overlooked, right? Mm-hmm. Is the fact that the defense stepped up and played Mustang ball.
Yep.
So, playing on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball, I might get you in trouble here for practice tomorrow. Which one do you like better?
I don't know. That's a hard one because running the ball is fun. Breaking away, pretty fun. But also getting a lot of tackles is fun too. So I don't know. I couldn't pick between the two.
That's a good answer, and that's a way to not have any extra conditioning due tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, right?
But so you went out there, you get a forced fumble, and a blocked punt. Coming into this year, I think we knew the abilities, we knew what you could do, but there's always things that you can get better on, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you focused on in this off season to get better for football this year?
Well, focused a lot more on speed and quickness work, and then obviously I just kept lifting. And that always helps. So
yeah, I think you might have been the only kid picking up dumbbells in the nursery. The way it's been, since you were a young man. Strength has always played a huge portion out there. But what are some of the other sports that you play in the off seasons?
So there's football, there's basketball. Wrestled this past year. I did indoor track and outdoor track, and I don't know, like track always helps with speed. Basketball, you got some type of footwork all the time, doing footwork drills and other things like that. And then wrestling, the strength and conditioning part of that's pretty intense, especially the conditioning part.
Well, I'll tell you what, there are nobody is in better condition than a wrestler.
No,
and, no offense to the basketball guys out there, but having to use your entire body for, 1 minute, 2 minutes at a time.
No,
But
I did all of them. The wrestling is a different type of conditioning.
Well, you know what? And a little bit of a glutton for punishment, as not many people wrestle and play basketball. How did they lure you into doing both?
Well, with the transfer stuff this past year, I only had half season. So I played basketball and I wrestled when I could, and then I also did indoor track at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a little rough, but it was fun.
Did you see any of that help when you hit outdoor track season, where you essentially were conditioning for outdoor track year round as well?
I think it did, because come outdoor season, like when we did the conditioning stuff beginning of the year, it wasn't as hard, and I could keep going on with the workouts that I was already building on in indoor season.
Yeah, and you could see it. Obviously, you had a lot of success in the outdoor season as well. But, you talk about putting a pretty big emphasis on the strength training, and when did that kind of click for you that, these games sometimes are won in the gym in February?
Well, ever since I was little, I always see my brother. He was always pretty strong. So pretty much since 7th grade, I always just wanted to be stronger than everyone else on the field. And pretty much ever since then, it's just always helped.
And one of the things that sometimes will happen is, when you do get that big and strong, sometimes you lose speed. But that's not really the case with you. You know what I mean? How do you go about your lifting schedule so you make sure that speed still sticks around?
Well, like when you do leg workouts, you gotta focus in fast movements. Like you can't just do everything slow.
Well, yeah, you definitely can't do anything slow in this Grand Valley offense because there's too much speed, there's too much talent out there. But, coming into this senior year, you've always been a guy who is going to make a difference on whatever team you're on. But senior year comes with leadership. What were some of the things that kind of changed on the leadership side for you this year?
I don't know. I mean, not really too much change that much because, always kind of trying to be a leader. Like, you help the younger guys out. Like, you push them at the end of conditioning. You push them in the weight room. You push them during their plays. Like, if they're struggling with plays, you help them out with some plays. And just try to get them to the best they can be so that they can help you, even if they're not actually playing varsity, but scout team for practice, preparing for that varsity game Friday night.
And, for the second year in a row, you are part of a very, very talented backfield, in where a running back a lot of times, especially in this area, is a featured guy. You're part of a duo where each guy can score at any given time.
Yep.
Some guys sometimes have trouble with sharing the ball because there's only one on the field, but that doesn't seem to be an issue with you. How do you keep that attitude, going into the game?
Well, let's put it this way. We're both going to make it in the end zone eventually. And you don't win if it's not in the end zone. So,
yeah, it's a team first thing, and that's
Yeah.
something that has kind of shined not just with you, but with the culture. And talk a little bit about that Grand Valley culture.
well, everyone works together. If you don't work together, you're not going to be good at anything. So you got to push one another for every sport that you play, not just football. So if you don't do that, you're not going to be good.
Well, that's no truer words have been spoken, folks. If you're not pushing yourself, you're not going to get better. It's all about the team first. But you guys are in a pretty good conference of football. In years past, people have looked past the NAC, but there's some really good football that's going on, including the rival.
Yep.
That Week 10 game is going to be a big game. But you guys are in not just in conference, but in this region. In Division 6, there are some big guys, some big-time teams. What are some of the things that you're doing to make sure you're ready?
Well, like I said, we're in the weight room all the time. We're always going hard at practice, and we just gotta be prepared, do as much as we can, take control of each other almost, keep everyone in check.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, you guys can only control what you can do, right?
Yep.
And that Grand Valley effort is a massive, massive effort. For the younger guys who are, there's a great youth program, a great youth movement in Orwell and in the Grand Valley District. For the young guy who's going out there to play football for the first time, what are some words of wisdom or encouragement you might give to the guy, even in the youth league?
Well, like I said, it's literally no different from anyone else. You literally just have to push hard. Do everything you do with the maximum effort. and your effort in that will pay off at the end.
And that's great. That's great words of wisdom. But you've got a long season ahead of you, obviously, here in this senior year. But this is a year where you have to take in the moments, right? And there's going to be all kinds of moments. What are some of the things you're looking forward to as a senior? Because gosh knows, you guys are home more than you're away. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The gas bill for Grand Valley travel this year is like $13.
That's sweet. I don't really know. You know what? I don't want this year to be over.
I like that.
It went by quick. Senior year came up a lot faster than I thought it would. But you know what? I'm just excited for all the games. But at the same time, I don't want the games to come. It is. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You're excited to play the game, but now there's only 10 more regular season games of high school football. Yep. And in my opinion, I think there's going to be more than 10 for Grand Valley this year. And we're going to find out this year. But, it's about finding those moments, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'll tell you what, you guys have gone out there. There's so many weapons out there. Yep. And every time you get the ball or somebody else gets the ball, you guys are going all out. And that's why you're finding the success. And I'll tell you what, it plays a large part in why you're the player of the week this week. How about a shout out to some of those big ugly fellas up front and doing the job? Oh yeah, they did their job pretty good.
You can't get 133 yards if the linemen are mailing it in, and they certainly didn't do it in week 1. I'll tell you what, Luke, it's going to be a fun season. I'm really looking forward to keeping up with that Grand Valley football. I'll get a chance to call a couple games here and there, but you guys have a great voice, recent Orwell graduate, and James Westover, and it's all excitement all the time in one of the most beautiful fields you're going to see in all of Northeast Ohio. If you haven't made your way out to Orwell, you're really selling yourself short because it's a beautiful stadium with a beautiful turf and some really high-quality football. But for this week, the ruler of the week is this guy right here. It's Luke Giddings, number 42, like a locomotive. Good luck getting in front of him and stopping him because he's not taking no for an answer. This week's player of the week, Luke Giddings.
Thank you.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
The feeling when my hands are on the piano, it's become comforting. It's somewhere that I can express myself. I go to Youngstown State University and my passion is playing music. YSU is allowing me to take what I love and turn it into a career and do it every single day of my life. I'm Alyssa, and I'm YN proud.
My guy keeps it 100% of the time. He wants all 100, won't settle for 99. And it's more than stats, because there's people in those numbers. And I was one of the lost sheep. I'm so glad he cares for all 100. I'm 100% safe, 100% free, 100% love. I can be 100% me. He gave all 100 when they put him up on that tree. That's 100% passion for 100% free. So if I play in front of 100, or if I play in front of 2, there's an audience of 1 getting 100% of what I can do.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hold on, let's do a quick switch over. There we go. Should be right. There we are. Again, thank you to the Crow's Nest for hosting us like they do each and every week. I want to take this time to send a big shout out and a huge thank you to Dan Sposito and Sposito Insurance. It has been the last couple years between the Detour family and the Sposito family, that's how we're bringing this to you each and every week. One of my biggest dreams was to be able to take this show on the road and show off Ashtabula and everything that we've got going on well. And this is one of our biggest gems here in the city, the Crow's Nest, dealing with some stuff during my off season here. And the community really showed up for them in droves and brought this place right back to its old glory, and it's beautiful in here. We had one of the owners, RJ Detour, on the show last week talking about how much it really meant to him, and I can't tell you how much it means to me for them to have faith and bring me back for another year here, and thanks to the generosity of the Detour family as well as the Sposito family. So if you're looking for a bite to eat in a great venue with great staff, the Crow's Nest, it doesn't get better than here, right here in Ashtabula. And if you have insurance needs, come check out Dan Sposito. They're going to take care of you like a family member. Thank you so much for all of your guys' help bringing that to the show this year. And what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over here and talk about some of the games that happened right here from our area. You can find all of your scores on ysnlive.com/scores. We are your home for high school sports. If you have a question as to what the scores were in the area from Ashtabula all the way to Akron, baby, we've got you covered. Talking about, obviously, the first one here, with Brooklyn and Grand Valley. The Grand Valley Mustangs go out there. They opened the stable, and they never looked back. 47-14, and that 14th point doesn't get scored till late in the fourth quarter. We talked a little bit about Grand Valley in the preview show and how much talent this team truly had coming into this year. Luke Giddings goes out there, 3 touchdowns, a forced fumble, a punt block, you name it, he did it. Part of one of the better backfields in the state of Ohio. And Caden Rowland, his duo, that half of the dynamic duo, with 2 touchdowns of his own. Back there catching the snaps and dictating the offense, it's a familiar name here on YSN in Carter Turk. The big 6'6" quarterback. He can see all around the field. You can't spend too much time worrying about what he's doing because those running backs will eat you up. This is an offense, I think, that is going to be one for the record books this year. They've got so many weapons out there. They've got a offensive line that is taking it personally this year. These guys want to make sure that they're holding down the fort and allowing their athletes to do what they do best. And that's how you go out there in week 1 and you put 47 points up just like that. Look for a lot of great things out there in Grand Valley this year. Moving on to another score from the area, Chagrin Falls and Jefferson. 14-7, Jefferson Falcons will fall. This was a tight game for Jefferson last year. Chagrin Falls, I think they kept that one in the back of their heads. But, Jefferson did not perform poorly in this game. You look at Mason Khalil throwing for over 200 yards in this one. They've got a lot of things working. Look for the Jefferson Falcons to be able to shake that off and head into week 2 and most likely get themselves a win as we keep moving ourselves down the line here. Another Ashtabula County game right here in St. John and Edgewood. Edgewood gets this one done. They shut the Heralds out 33-0. I was on the call with this one with our newest broadcaster, Dustin Mills. What an amazing game that was. Early in this one, this was tight, a back and forth affair. Edgewood was able to get the offensive wheels rolling in the second half of this one and really open up the score. I'll tell you what, J.J. Dufour is one of those guys, as I said in the preview show, you're going to have to keep your eyes on. This is a talented leader that the Edgewood Edgewood Warriors have. And what I found, that they got a running back that kind of set himself apart last week in Nate Schwartfigure. This was a guy who was taking 3 and 4 guys to bring him down in this one. They set the tone. They were able to control the clock, and that's how they had such a firm control on this game. The St. John offense still looking to find its way. Had some flashes here and there in this game, but, Edgewood went all in on the run game and made sure that 1,000-yard rusher in Chase Newsome was obviously game planned for, so they did a good job of keeping him contained. But what I think is going to stick out for this St. John team overall is this defense really showed that not only do they have guys like Carlo Fasano, like Jaden Hamas, but they've got some depth around there of guys who are going to be able to step up and make tackles week in, week out. And, even though they struggled there in week 1, I think week 2 you're going to see a different look on this St. John team. Madison and Perry, one of our YSN schools, they go out there and flat out get the job done. The Pirates taking absolutely nothing, when it comes to being able to stop them. 39-7 the final there. Another game from our area on Friday night. Conneaut and Cuyahoga Heights. I'm telling you guys, right now, this Conneaut Spartans team is one to keep your eyes on. One of the most talented wide receiving cores in the area. They've got tons and tons of options out there. Wyatt Dobrin went out there, showed that he belongs in the conversation with the quarterbacks in this area. They got a couple rushing touchdowns here and there, but they got the job done in the air. They've got 4 and 5 receivers on this Conneaut team that are going to make you where you're having to dedicate coverage. And don't forget, they've got a very, very talented running back in that backfield in Isaiah Bowles. So the more attention you have to spend on those wide receivers, the more it's going to open up for Bowles. While Conneaut didn't necessarily get the rushing game going the way that they would have wanted to in this one, I think it set the tone and it showed that they could throw the ball. You're going to see more defenses paying more attention to that passing game, and because of that, that rushing game will find its way back into Conneaut. Another final from the area. Obviously, these all happening on Friday night. The Geneva Eagles fall to Shaker Heights. And, there are people already saying that this is the year that you're going to be able to get to Geneva just because they stumble out of the gate. Let me be the first person to tell you, Shaker Heights is not a bad football team. That is a big athletic football team, and Geneva was holding their own. This is one of those games where, one more possession for Geneva could have changed the complete outlook of this game. Guys like Brody Ham are finding their way, and what this Geneva defense can do, you'll find out as the year continues. They've got a big one coming up this week, and this one I'm going to double circle. I believe is going to be the game of the week in their week 2 opponent on the road. So those were the games from Friday, and then we move on to Saturday, and this was the second game I got a chance to cover last week. As we took this show on the road, we went to Brush High School to cover the Lakeside Dragons versus Lutheran East Falcons. And this was a game, if you watched the show zone coverage on Thursday, I thought was going to be a high-scoring affair. This was 2 offenses that were very, very dangerous, completely chocked full of athletes, quarterbacks that had the ability to throw the ball all over the yard. And what did they do? They made me look like a fool. This was a defensive battle right from the gate. 14-7 Lakeside starts with an opening week victory on the road as they take on this Lutheran East Falcons team. And that Lakeside defense, ladies and gentlemen, they came to play. 4 turnovers in that game, 3 by fumbles and 1 by interception, and it was almost 5 turnovers there, as there was a collision between 2 Dragons that kept an interception from happening later in the second half. But on the Lutheran East side, you got to give credit where credit is due. That Lutheran East team was taking that passing attack that Lakeside offers very, very seriously. Kept J.J. Murphy down to about 125 yards, but Davion Gaines able to get an 88-yard touchdown in this game, which ended up being the separator. I think what sticks out to me the most in that week 1 outing for the Lakeside Dragons is the fact that they were able to run the ball and run the ball effectively. That effective running game is going to open it way up for this Lakeside Dragons team, because this was a team that relied so heavily on the pass that, you know, they were scoring 35, 42 points a game, but the defense wasn't able to keep up. Now you've got a defense that's stepping up and is going to be able to make things happen on a week-to-week basis. I'm telling you guys, it is up for the Lakeside Dragons this year. You're going to want to keep an eye on them. As I talked about their Week 2 opponent, I think that the game that the Lakeside Dragons are in this week is going to be the game of the week, the one you're going to want to double circle. Let's get to the point of the show that I'll say causes the most controversy every week. But before we get going, let me let you guys know right now. We are only going to give out offensive leaders for this week, because I am still waiting on defensive leaders for a couple teams here in the county. They will be released by Wednesday on the social media page, so keep your eyes open. And some of these stats are still up in the air. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to see Ashtabula's best stat leaders. All right, everybody. Now, another just kind of precursor here, just to let you guys know. These stats are based on the stats that are reported to me from the coaches. So on Saturday night or Sunday, if they play a Saturday game, they report the stats to me. We put it in our formula, and this is how we're figuring out who the stat leaders are. If you've got a question about, oh, my guy should have had more than that, I'm not the guy to bring it up to. It's whoever the head coach is. And good luck with that, because they love when you talk to them about stats. So your top passing quarterback here in the county this week for week 1 is the Jefferson Falcons, is Mason Khalil with 233 yards. In second place is going to be Wyatt Dobrin over at Conneaut with 215 yards. J.J. Dufour over at Edgewood with 171 yards. Lakeside's J.J. Murphy with 137 yards. So Dufour wins the battle of the JJs in week 1. Justin Britton in PV, 125 yards in his first game of the year. John Dodick with 61 yards from Geneva. Carter Turk with 27 yards in week 1. And again, with that kind of a running game, I don't know that they necessarily have to pass, but it's nice to know that they can. And Anthony Benedict will round it out with 24 yards for week 1 and St. John. Now we'll move on from the passing yards to the guys on the ground with our rushing leaders here for week 1. The top 10 guys. Leading the way is Luke Giddings with 133 yards. Our player of the week leading the way this week. In second place, it's Lakeside's Maceo Bowles with 116 yards. As we talked about, you know, this Lakeside team going out there 116 yards, and that was more rushing yards than they got into a couple games last year. So starting it off right. Owen Davis with Geneva and 105 yards. In third place, Nate Schwartfigure from the Edgewood Warriors with 102. And we talked about the fact that they started that game with a trio. I think there was a guy that separated himself from the pack in Nate Schwartfigure. Caden Rowland with 98 yards in Grand Valley. In fifth place, J.J. Dufour with 97 yards. Brody Ham with 55. Wyatt Dobrin with 50. Mason Khalil with 46 from Jefferson. And Hunter Dewing with 38, rounding it out. And from the rushing side of the ball, we move over to the pass catchers. Leading the way, as I said, Mason Khalil leading the way with the passing yards. There's got to be a guy from Jefferson at the top, and that's going to be Paxton Fritzky with 114 yards. Davion Gaines from Lakeside with 88 is in second place this week. Patty Ferry over at PV with 74. He's tied with Sean McClassic over in Jefferson with 74. Jacob Thompson in Conneaut with 72 yards. Brandon Carr at Jefferson with 30. Caden Rowland on here again with 29 yards. Carter Beck from St. John with 28 yards. Adam Croston with 25 over at PV. And Cooper Dubsky will round it out with 23. Week 1, not a ton of passing yards happening out there. A stark contrast to Week 1 last year, where we had probably 3 or 4 guys with over 120 yards. But I think Ashtabula is remembering that, what Woody Hayes said. When you throw the ball, 3 things can happen. Only one of them is good, so going back to some of the running traditions here in Ashtabula there for Week 1. It'll be interesting to see, are we going to put wings on the pigskin this week? We'll find out. Let's talk about some of these upcoming matchups here in Week 2. Proud to say that all of these games on Week 2 will be on your home for high school sports, YSN Live, starting with Lakeside versus Geneva. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, this is the game of the week. It's the Lakeside Dragons coming in 1-0 and Geneva Eagles coming in 0-1. I can't remember the last time the records looked like this. Now, Lakeside will host Geneva. This is 2 teams with 2 very different approaches. Well, historically different approaches, but it's looking more like this could be a rushing battle going into this one, with Lakeside actually leading the way with running backs in this one. Maceo Bowles with more yards than the Geneva running back. Now, with Geneva, you have to keep in mind, running that wing T, they are going to spread that ball around. So 3, sometimes 4 guys are going to get an even amount of carries over there in Geneva. But Lakeside will host the Geneva Eagles at 7 p.m. on Friday. That'll be right here on your home for high school sports, ysnlive.com. Can't wait for that one. This is the one. If you had to ask me what's going to be the biggest game of the week this week, I would say this one. Following that is going to be Edgewood at Harvey. This is the game I will be on the call with, as we'll be taking the show on the road, heading to Paynesville, Harvey. I'll be joined by Justin Mills. This is another very interesting game I think you're going to want to watch. The Edgewood Warriors had a little bit of a slower start going into or with their Week 1 outing. Harvey, with a couple transfers this year, has gotten very, very good very, very quickly, going out there in Week 1, getting a Week 1 W. It'll be interesting to see. This is going to be a game of athletes, and we'll be on the call for that one. Grand Valley will be hosting Southeast this week on Friday, and this is one, I know we make our picks on Thursday. I'm going to give you an insider scoop. I like Grand Valley a lot in this one. They found out what was working and what maybe could use some improvement. And after a week of extra coaching, a week of figuring out, we're going to try this, we're going to try that. I like Grand Valley to be at home hosting Southeast this week. It is going to be a big week to be a Mustang fan. Jefferson and Conneaut. This is another very, very interesting game. You've got the Jefferson Falcons going out there with Khalil leading the county in passing this after Week 1, and Conneaut coming into this game with a absolutely jam-packed wide receiving core. This is one that I think could be very, very close. Now, if you want my pick for who's going to win this game, you're going to have to wait, because that's going to be on the Thursday show. I'm not giving out too much sauce today, but that'll be 7 p.m. At Conneaut right here on YSN Live, thanks to our friends over at WOW. And then also the Pymatuning Valley Lakers going to be hosting the LeBray Vikings, 7 p.m. It'll be Chad and George on the call for this one. I'm really excited about this one, too. I think Pymatuning Valley is going to be looking to bounce back in a big way here in Week 2. And then on Saturday, it's going to be St. John and Fairport for Week 2. St. John hosting Fairport at their new home at Lakeside High School. I think this is a big bounce back game for the St. John Heralds. Listen to my analysis for the Thursday night show on Zone Coverage if you want my exact pick for this game. But let me just tell you this. I think St. John bounces back in a big, big way this week against their bitter rival in the Fairport Harding Skippers. It's going to be, I'll tell you what, folks, it's going to be a great week here. We've got every team covered on YSN Live this week, and that was something that, was really a dream for me since the beginning, to make sure that every athlete in Ashtabula County that's going to be on the field is going to get the love and attention that they deserve, and we're working very, very hard to make sure that that happens right here on ysnlive.com. I'll tell you what, it was a great week one. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank the Detour family for hosting, as they always do beautifully. I want to thank Dan Sposito and Sposito Insurance for sponsoring the show. I'm very, very thankful to all of you guys for supporting us each and every year. Week one in the books, and week two on the horizon. You know what? I'm going to leave it out to you. We'll get a poll out tonight on Instagram. What is going to be the biggest game in the county for you? Which one do you think is going to be the closest? Which one do you think is going to be a blowout? Which one do you think is going to be just the best overall game? We'll get some polls out tonight for that. Thanks for each and every one of you. To all of you guys out there that share the content, share it to your story, make sure you're liking and doing all that for the post. Thank you so much. Your support means the world to me, and that's the reason why we're able to keep doing what we can do. For week one, after the recap, my name is Sam Torres, and now and forever, ladies and gentlemen, this is for the 440.
This for the 440. This for the 440. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the 440 and that goes. Hey, this just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmetto and Valley. We from the 440 chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcon. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating no dragons who run the whole city. You wildin', and they really doubt it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and Connie I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the 440. This for the 440. This for the 440.